And welcome to a new episode of More Than Die. Streamlabs is going crazy in our channel right now. As you notice, John is not here. As I point, I gotta get it since I'm in Australia streaming. John is not here today, so we decided to bring a friend of mine, Landon, in, where we're going to talk about resin 3D printing and Patreon and designing and everything that goes with it. But before we do that, let's go ahead and give a shout out to all of our sponsors. We want to thank Metalhead Minis Lynn Stahl for being such an awesome person and letting us send items for her to sell for us. She has all of our Warfare Weekend stuff, all of our More Than Dice stuff, which we'll be doing some other things. Then we also want to thank Muson Minis for helping us distribute our podcast out and providing it for people. Also, you can find us on almost any streaming service. And then we want to thank that we are a creature creator. So every once in a while you'll see a model on here that is by them that we'll be painting. And we want to thank Techcraft Studios, Dan the Man, for his stuff. If you don't know, he has a lot of lasered MDF stuff. Really nice guy. Kathy, what episode are we on?
I have a hot chocolate.
I didn't ask what you were drinking. I asked what episode we were on.
I'm distracted by the number of marshmallows in my hot chocolate.
We are on episode 153, by the way. So let's go ahead and talk about that. Let's go ahead and get our drinks out of the way. Kathy, what are you drinking tonight besides hot chocolate with marshmallows?
I think there's rum in it.
I want what she's drinking.
So rum, hot chocolate, and marshmallows?
Yes, I would like
Landon, are you drinking anything tonight, or are you just chilling out?
OJ.
Just some OJ, keeping that vitamin C up.
Yep.
I am having another wintergreen coffee stout, as it's like going in and out of focus. Which I really love this beer. This beer is amazing. Other than that, Kathy, do we have any shout outs that we need to think of? I don't think so. I couldn't figure out anything that really stuck out to me.
No one in the entire world has died. Thank goodness.
We do want to say a shout out to all of our friends, whether you watch us on Twitch, listen to us, watch us on Facebook, listen to us at home, on any streaming service. We want to make sure that you know that we appreciate it all the time. Guys, there's pandemic still going on whether you like it or not. Please wash your hands, cover your cough, wear a mask, do everything you possibly can to stay safe. I just found out some of personal friends of mine got COVID recently, and it's not good. So everybody, please protect yourself. From all of us to all of you, cheers.
Cheers.
Damn. It is a coffee stout, Legionnaires. Winter Grind is made by Mother's Brewing Company in Springfield, and it is a coffee stout, and it's amazing.
I'm a coffee purist. And
I love
Hey,
this.
Pelicram, welcome.
Hey, Pelicram.
So, yeah, I like coffee too, but coffee is my morning drink. So,
Oh.
I just drink it black.
one of my Patreon buddies.
So let's go and talk. Landon, I've known you, which we kind of established back in the pre-ramble. I've known you for like 15 years, give or take, from our old War Machine and Hordes days. Landon sent me a message. Is like, hey, can you pimp me? And I'm like, depends. How much are you worth?
Ever.
So, because a while back, you sent me a model to test out and everything. And back when I just started 3D printing, and he sends me, he's like, hey, I've got this Patreon. So, Landon, tell me about yourself and how did you get started doing sculpting 3D prints?
Well, I actually started sculpting 3D designs back when you ever hear of the game Second Life? It's like hard to say it's a game.
Yeah.
It was. I actually
Yeah,
started
I remember that.
making vehicles and clothing and all kinds of things like that for Second Life for characters, and that's where I got a lot of training in on 3D sculpting and 3D design once they started allowing sculpties on that. Started my own little business on there and made money off of it for quite a few years. And then when I've been following 3D printers since their first inception. When you saw the first one on what was that movie, Small Soldiers? Had the
Oh yeah.
Yep,
Yeah. I remember that movie.
that actually had the first 3D printer in the movie, even though they didn't know how it worked and they did it in the movie so sci-fi false that. But I've been following 3D printing all of that time, and uh, just within the last couple of years, I started taking everything I knew from Second Life and uh, started as a hack job cutting up other people's designs and trying to make toys of my own.
Okay. What your sculpts? We're going to show some eventually, but on your sculpts, we were talking about 3D printing. Is your stuff strictly resin, or is it FDM and resin?
Um, well, it really just depends on the sculpts themselves. Uh, I try to keep my stuff so that they would be FDM friendly, but the better and better the quality gets, and the lower the prices the resin gets, FDM is really almost seems like it's being relegated to terrain and larger vehicles and things like that anymore. Since I focus pretty much on characters and infantry and things like that, my stuff is almost exclusively resin.
Yeah. Because I mean, I had that call. A friend of mine, Damon, called me up and said, "Hey, I'm looking to get a printer. What do you suggest?" And I was like, "Well, first things first. What do you plan on printing?" And he's like, "Well, I want to do terrain because he wants to build terrain for his home, which is
Yeah,
totally feasible." And he was like, "Should I go resin or should I go FDM?" And I said, "Just go FDM." Because a resin build plate, unless you want to spend like $3,000, for a large build plate, um, is very small. It's only like 6 inches by 5 inches or something like that, 8 inches by 5 inches, something like that. While the FDMs can get up to like almost 12 inches by 12 inches, so you can get some beefy terrain features out of it, and such. So, question on your thing: are you formally trained to do Did you go to college to do your 3D sculpting and such, or was it just
uh,
hobby?
actually, I do have my certification in AutoCAD, AutoCAD Inventor, and Revit. So, yeah, Inventor is a great 3D design software for hard surface modeling. When you were talking about the type of printers, I I tend to ask people which one. Prices of printers are so cheap right now.
Yes.
I mean, what I bought my Photon for originally, you could buy an Ender 3 and a Photon both for now.
Yep.
And so I ask people, like, which one scares you more? Uh, Working on your car or a hazmat situation? And whichever one scares them the least, because the FDM printing, it's kind of like having a old Harley Davidson. You're constantly going to be tweaking with it to get it to stay running.
Yep.
But once it runs, it's going to be pretty awesome. The uh, resin is always going to run. It's almost always going to work, but you can end up with some pretty hazmat situations out of it.
Yeah. Hey, in trouble. One of the things that I've done is, my FDM printer that I have an Ender 3 Pro, and I really like it. And pretty much I've got it. Every once in a while. You got to do a tune up, or you have to tighten things down because it moves so much, and get things going. But for the most part, once it's done, it's done. Changing out, filament, changing out, different type of plugs or whatever, and just make sure nothing clogs, which isn't that much of an issue. It's just maintenance is what I would consider it.
Yeah.
and also good old glue stick because I use glue stick to hold my prints down on my FDM. But for resin printers, it's a whole nother deal because depending on what it is, depends on what you've got to do. One, resin is toxic. This liquid resin, if you get it on your skin, just get it off as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not going to burn a hole through you. It's not like acid, but you don't want it sitting on your skin. You want to wash it off and, get what you can and, be safe. So you use your gloves, but you're always going to make a mess. Because resin printers, not only is you have to do the liquid resin, after it's done printing, you got to take it out, rinse it completely off, rinse off the excess resin with using alcohol, isopropyl alcohol, which of course now is really hard to get. Really, really hard to get.
Go to the farm supply stores.
Yeah, it's one of those things you either can find it or it gets to be a pain in the butt to find. And then after that, you have to cure it. You have to cure the resin after you kind of break it apart and get rid of the, supports and such. So I mean, it's a whole other ball of wax type thing. FDMs are kind of set it and forget it. Resins, set it, forget it, and then all the back work you have to do with it. That people don't understand. It's not just set it, forget it, and you pull it off and you're done. It's the curing, it's the cleaning, it's all that other stuff.
And you have to have mechanical knowledge in both cases
Correct.
because both of them break quite a bit.
Yeah, you're usually fixing parts. So you have a Patreon. Why did you decide to do a Patreon?
Well, actually, I had decided I was not going to do a Patreon for myself because the amount of the amount of models that to really justify people supporting you on the Patreon, I'm not that prolific of an artist myself. And it wasn't until Nick, he's actually from the Ukraine, he had the Patreon Crucible of Games before, and he was doing all of the work himself, but he himself, it's like, this is a lot of effort for one person to be able to give people what they really deserve out of Patreon. So he approached myself and approached Otto from Finland and asked us if we'd want to restart his Patreon as Crucible of Games as a 3-person show. And I think we've actually got a pretty good team. Nick, I think, let's see, his online name is Corvus Obscurus, and he is a really good organic sculptor. Right now, his line of models that he's doing on the Patreon is kind of a bio-organic exodites of Eldar. And then Otto is a hard surface modeler that does beautiful vehicles and machinery. He's doing a lot of World War II tank new takes on World War II tanks for the 40K universe.
Okay. So you're some of the stuff, because I have a slideshow that we're going to show some of these models. Is most of your stuff sci-fi, or are you going sci-fi fantasy, or how are you doing your monthly rewards? Because usually they're like, hey, here's our demon month, here's our lion month, here's our chicken month, or whatever. Or are you just releasing them just as is?
Well, actually, we're each one of us is focusing on a theme, and we're going to run through that theme and then start into another theme. So basically, after a few months, you'll be able to have all of my Tau, basically, after just a few months of subscription to it. And then I'll be taking off. I believe my next plan is actually going to be Dark Eldar, a more piratey take on Dark Eldar.
So proxy models, because they're not official, and stuff. And we do have one of them. I did want to go ahead, and you probably I'm gonna have to. Let me make sure this is up. Okay. I'm going to bring up and do a share screen. So give me 1 second. Not that. Window capture. And I'm going to capture. Let's see if that'll come up. No, not that one. There we go. I'm using Chidubox as my slicer, and we've got your model up here that you are that you gave me, which I didn't get a chance to print because my printer, I've got to fix something on it. And this is one of your Tau inspired models. I'm gonna try to bring it. Did you design this one yourself, or was this one of your other partners?
This one was my design.
Okay. So I noticed you got this base. On your models, do they all come pre-supported?
Yes. Yeah, they all come pre-supported. I also include the lychee slicer file, so that if you know how the resin printer sometimes you'll a difficult area on your printer or something like that, or a sweet spot in some cases. It's nice to have the file itself so that you can thicken up lower supports or thin down some supports if it causes too much damage to the model or something like that.
Yeah. Okay.
I like the option to be better at it than I am.
Who do you do your own supports, or does someone else do your supports?
I do the lychee supports, and Nick does he and Otto's supports.
Okay. Because that's like the real big kicker right now. Anytime someone does a model, or anyone has a Patreon, everybody's doing pre-supported models, which makes it great for me because pretty much all it is plug and go. You know, just slice it up, use the program, and you're done. Type thing. So I've noticed that, you know, this is your female, looks like a Tau, like type of officer, very Tau inspired. And of course, no iconic stuff, so it, you know, definitely is not that, but could make a very good proxy model, or, you know, a model to set your stuff out. So I'm going to go ahead and slice it real quick. And so let's see how long it would take to print. Can you see my...
I point out that on this particular officer, as far as being a proxy for the Tau, she actually knows how to use a knife as opposed to Games Workshop's.
All right, so this is going to take about 3.5 hours to do, give or take, because it's based on my slicers. I'm only using 22 cents worth of resin, which is not bad. Type thing, because the supports are always going to be always going to be an issue. Yes, I know, Captain Mizzy, pirates. So let's go through your images of some of the models that you have. So this was one of the first ones I saw, and we're going to be showing it up over our faces so people can see it, because we're going to talk about it at the same time. This one looks like it's part of your Eldar inspired. This one, you probably have to look at it on Twitch. It's a girl standing on a pillar with a staff. Oh, you're not on Twitch. Ha! Gotcha.
Yep, you caught me. I will have this in just a second.
Yeah, itches.
Oh, my computer is being terribly, terribly slow. Which one?
It is a 3D rendering of looks like an Eldar inspired, maybe like a Harlequin type.
Oh, she's standing on top of the pillar?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the Shadow Seer for the Eldar Harlequins.
Okay. And I noticed that you have 2 different guns, so I guess you got it cut it off the hand, where you can change out 2 different guns.
Yeah, I tried to. I really like to make my models so that they can be converted and fill out all of the different options that you can play them in a game.
Okay.
Yeah, I did an entire line of. I think you got all of the pictures of them. I've done an entire line of all of the Harlequins all of the Harlequin infantry anyway.
Okay, this one, this is a bug-inspired one. I'm trying to open it up so people can see it a little bit better because this is like, I mean, you've got. It's like a group of 5, and some of them got a gun. They're chitin-like. Do you need help with the link?
Chitin.
Chitin.
Chit-
Chitin.
You say potato, I say potato. Anyways, those look really cool.
Yes, yay!
Here, hold on, Landon. Let's see if I can get you. I'll get this to you real quick.
Oh, it's actually loading on Twitch now for me.
Okay. Because I had to make sure everything was muted.
Bigger. I must make it bigger. Hold on. I love the arm, the insect.
Mandibles?
Well, the mandibles are cool too, but the arm things with all the little hooks and hairs and stuff on them. It's very cool.
That would be some of Corvus's. That would be some of his exodites, I do believe.
Yeah, I like these. These are really cool, especially the guy walking on the legs, the insect legs. I like him a lot. He's really neat.
That's his exodite warp spider proxies.
Okay.
I could see that.
Yeah, that's just
he's got a really interesting take on the exodites.
Next one, I'll shrink this down. I included this one right here. I did steal some that were not, from what you sent me because I was like, oh, this one looks really neat. And this is a construction kit is what you're calling it. And it's a Skull Throne Challenge release. What is this exactly? Because this has got like a bunch of legs. Looks like spider walkers. So,
robot spiders.
And then it's got these weird faces. Is this all one model or is this a bits and pieces?
Oh, heck. Twitch is not. Oh, I'm sorry, Gonzo. I would have had this up earlier.
That's all right. No big deal. This one's called a Skull Throne Challenge release.
Oh, you pulled these off of the older Patreon.
I went and grabbed some other stuff because you gave me some, and I'm like, oh, I want to show this other stuff too.
Wait, is it a thing that's still available though?
Those would be available in the Crucible Games store on My Mini Factory.
Oh, okay. So that's usually what a lot of people do is what they after the month is over, they take and they put them on My Mini Factory.
Yeah, that's what we're actually going to be doing as well. That model that you showed slicing, that's part of the welcome kit, so it's going to be on the Patreon for anybody that joins the Patreon for quite a while. But all of the stuff prior to January you can find on the Crucible of Games My Mini Factory page.
Okay, let's look at the next one. This one I thought was really neat because it shows all the stuff, and this is probably some of the older ones. And this is called the Brimstone Squire's Armory. Make that big. You got the cloaks.
That would be another one of Corvus's or Nick's models. Like I said, he does some amazingly beautiful soft model sculpts.
No, I got some more.
I'm a bit out of touch with 40K like stuff. Is this kind of like sniper sort of things or assassin sort of things?
He's done. They fit in. Let's see. A lot of his stuff, I think, was fitting into Necromunda as well.
Oh, okay.
I could see that because Necromunda, you have so many different weapons.
Interesting helmets on these guys. Very sort of gladiator kind of style, seems like.
So it's
You know,
like
like
a
ancient gladiators.
yeah.
That's what it makes me think of.
Yeah, I don't know if you have a picture of him. He did some sculpts of some female warriors too that
Oh yeah.
were basically like hollow armor, uh, moving and dancing around. That I've told him that I want to steal his idea for a lot of different things. That hollow armor aesthetic was really cool.
Okay, so I've got one here called the Elder One, which reminds me of a Lictor. Probably one of the early releases and such. Before January. Banyan printers right now are so stupid cheap. It's not even funny.
Yeah,
A
That is
Photon
so
S is incredibly cheap. Let me see if I can drag so I can get a look at the face on this one. Because the
It
face
looks
on
like if you dumped him in boiling water, he'd be good with melted butter. Man.
that's pretty much how all Tyranid are, aren't they?
The next one I thought was pretty cool, and I had to grab it because it's these kind of dinosaur looking ones, and this is probably one of them that's done, probably from the previous, but they're feathered dinosaur raptors.
Oh yeah, he released those last month.
Those are so cute.
Called him something like Raptoron or how did he say that?
I thought those were kind of neat because they were very unique.
They're so cute.
Or Raptor Inks?
Or Raptorix.
Raptorix. But yeah, he spent a lot of time on those feathers. I thought they were going to get him.
Got this one, the Umbral Haruspex. It's got like two snake-like demons on its back, and then it's floating, and the cape is like hovering above them, making them hover. So I can...
Yeah.
So for our listeners, I'd just like to say for the people who are just listening to the podcast, we do also post the videos on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, if you want to see what it is that we're looking at and talking about with these 3D sculpts.
Yes, it's going to be hard to do that, but yeah, it's hard to describe this for our audio listeners, but definitely if you want to see the video, you can either join us live or watch it on our Twitch channel or our YouTube channel.
But yeah, that Umbral Hosprex, I believe that is his Farseer for his Farseer proxy for his Exodites.
Gotcha. This one I did see because y'all are trying. You do have some models that once you get to a certain Patreon level, you're going to start doing, and I thought this was interesting. And it was a Dagger 8mm scale compatible with Aeronautica with flight stands.
Huh.
Yeah, Nick and Otto both are really interested in Aeronautica. I've not had a chance to play it yet. I'm pretty sure the way they talk about it, I'll probably end up getting absorbed in it eventually.
I've only played the old version, the original version of it, but I really enjoyed that game.
And his all of his tanks and everything that he's doing, or I think most of his tanks, from what I've heard, he's planning on scaling those down to the 8mm scale as well for Adeptus Mechanicus and
Adeptus Mechanicus. No,
yeah.
not
Adeptus Titanicus.
Yeah, Adeptus Titanicus. Yeah, that's what it is.
Uh,
Here is that Farseer.
That's the other name.
Or not Farseer. Here's the female Tau that you were talking, that I had up on the slicer.
Yep. That's my that is my fire blade proxy. I was quite proud of her. I think she's pretty.
This is something I put on here. It is the terrain pieces. Now, I want to talk about these because how big are these without us changing them? These are the two, look like generators or turbines or whatever. Hopefully it'll come up on Twitch in a second. Because these possibly could be done on a resin, depending, if you size them correctly. But these are definitely terrain pieces that you could put like in Necromunda or just regular tabletop. Your edges.
Cool that you could make those a much larger size, or smaller, depending on what scale you're looking for. They could fit into a few different things.
Yeah, I would actually have to talk to Nick to find out what size those actually are. But I believe he tries to scale everything. Well, we all try our best to make sure that the scales match whatever scale of game that we're going to be releasing them for.
Yeah. And then this is a demon looking thing. Looks like it was for like a chaos. It's got the two mandibles on its like shoulders and such.
Oh, the bright green color?
Yes.
Yeah. Ooh,
Yeah,
I want to paint that. It is extra mouths.
That was some of my older designs. My older designs, as I was actually learning how to do all of this, like so many people, the designs were one-to-one with Games Workshop's stuff. And that was actually a one-to-one of Games Workshop's giant spawn. They actually gotten rid of that rules for it in the game now, and they've even dropped the model off of Forge World's stuff. That was some of my early work. I always referred to him as Fluffy.
Aww. So, with the detail on this, I have like a sculpting question. Really, as a painter, I run across this problem where people sculpt details, like all these tiny little bumps that are on this guy, all these fine little details. And depending on what size they're sculpting it at, when it gets reduced down, these things are nearly impossible to paint.
Yeah, I actually found that I love some of the high detailed models. Raging Heroes, their stuff is some of the most beautiful models I've ever seen. But whether it's their 3D printed models now or their solid models that I used to buy, their details were so tiny that I couldn't even pick them out with the washes and stuff.
Yeah, that's a problem I'm running into with this. Now no one can see this, and so I've been painting this bust, and it's only a couple inches tall, but you can tell that the guy sculpted it in a digital program and sculpted it at a much larger scale. And if it was printed out or cast at a 1:1 scale, all of this texture would be phenomenal. But as it is, just like you say, I could do washes. I'm painting this with oil paints, and I'm trying to do like thin line washes to try and bring out some of this texture, but it just doesn't matter because it's so very fine.
Yeah, that particular model, when it's printed out, that base that it's on there is a 120 millimeter base.
Wow, so that is huge.
He is a big model.
He's a big puppy. He's so cute.
He was supposed to be called a giant spawn, and for good reason. But I actually got him. I printed him out for myself and painted him about a year ago, and he's downstairs. The detail really did pop out on him pretty well. That's when you're something I had to learn early on. I was making all of these gorgeous models that I wanted to print, and I was on an FDM printer.
Mm.
Uh, so I learned real quick, that detail's not popping out on the FDM printer at all. So I think starting with the FDM printer helped me in the long run notice that everything's about resolution. You've got to have things have to really pop in order for them to be noticeable at that tiny scale. I think one of the first models that I came close to being a total original of mine, I hadn't uh, borrowed too many people's stuff to throw onto the model, was a Tau uh, officer. I love doing Tau models, and uh, she was all posed, all cool and everything. And when I printed her, like, it's a stick figure. The legs and everything looked perfectly appropriate on the screen, but when it's printed, the wrists were like half the size of a toothpick.
Oh, jeez.
Yes.
So
Some
did
of these.
you develop
Uh,
sort of a rule of thumb for just how small a detail can be and
Yeah,
still be visible and paintable?
yeah. I actually started putting the base that the model was going to be uh, on my screen. I'd just take a copy of that scale of base and stick it on there so that when I would be putting it on there, I'd always have this reference. Oh, that's only going to be that big.
Oh, that is a good idea.
Because you start zooming in closer and closer, and you're like, oh look, I can put their name on their name tag on their shirt.
Yeah. It seems like too, it would end up being kind of a waste of time, really,
Yeah.
for
Oh yeah,
somebody who's not aware that none of this is going to matter.
I've noticed that as being printing and doing the 3D printing and stuff. You're just like, oh man, this model looks so cool, so detailed. And then you put it on the build plate to print, and you're like, this is way too small, and you've got to resize it to get that detail in it. Or you're
yeah,
not going to get that name on the nameplate. It's just going to be flat because it's just too small to print.
yeah. I push the limits as far as I can, and I everybody goes a little too small at times, but you do the best that you can possibly do with it.
Oh, this looks like an interesting model.
I've got one that's like it's inspired by Sisters of Battle. High heel boots, chainsword, two-handed chainsword, and
She's got like a hood or a veil over her head.
Yep, my sisters with the Holy Chainsword. They're still up on my store.
I like it.
And that was it. But I did want to bring in one picture. Let's see if I can find it really quick.
You'll find that I get a little cheeky with some of my models, but I always keep them family friendly.
Cheeky.
All right, so this is I got a picture of your Crucible game welcome pack. Give me 1 second. Let me get rid of that. And then get rid of that. Like that. And this is your Crucible Games War Pack. And I got this one because it shows a variety of models, not just... It's got that little plane on it, but it also has a tank, a bike, some other like artillery piece in the back, and
Yep.
then it's got a bunch of different models in the front that kind of...
Those are the hollow armored dancing girls.
Those are interesting.
Trying to remember. I'll go through here real quick and I'll get you the name of
Are
those.
they sort of Escher? Maybe a little. Wow.
He puts them. There's language barriers all the time. They're Aranese Maleficarum.
Maleficarum?
Maleficarum. There you go.
Trying to get some really good pictures because they look robotic.
Yeah,
but there's no innards
they
to them.
also look organic. They have like this biomechanical sort of look to them.
Yeah, I I love the design for them.
Oh my gosh, they don't have actual. I just noticed the knees.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like the where the thigh and the leg is. I'm like, and there's no actual body there. That's interesting. So they are hollow. That's so cool.
Look at these. Yeah, because they actually have
It's like
things that
some
they're
sort
built
of
on.
it's like armor that's animated with nobody inside of it.
Yeah, that's what told him that I'd absolutely love to do one of those, or use that design for like an Eldar avatar.
I would absolutely love to paint those. Oh, that would be so much fun.
Because then I got, like it says, I tried to find some good shots, but the tanks and such was better on the little welcome page.
Is the
Uh,
tank sort of like a vindicator?
Well,
uh,
the tank, that tank, like I said, he's trying to set up all of the World War II tanks so that they
Okay.
maintain the World War II tank aesthetic, but are uh, proxies for 40K.
Okay. I love the rivets on it. That's
Yeah,
yeah.
his work is gorgeous. That would be Otto, uh, also known as Pelicrum. He he actually started, well, when I met him, he was doing Titans or Knights, sorry, Imperial Knights, and I know he made several bucks off of me buying his Knights.
I saw his name in the chat.
Yep.
I noticed that
Oh, I like that bike. Is that a bike?
yeah, there's a bike right
Looks like
here,
a bike.
and then behind it is a walker tank.
Yep.
It's not a tread or a wheels. It's got a walker.
Yep. I think that's one of his older tank designs, and the bike was one of his older bike designs that he donated to our welcome pack. We're going to keep growing the welcome pack as time goes by.
So I'm looking at your Patreon, and I'm on here right now, and your pricing guide. Right now, you've got it where if you um, join, you've got the $9 a month, which is actually a bit less than normal, because usually they're like 10 plus for the monthly, which gives you the models and work in progress content and stuff that's going to be on.
Telecrim is requesting that you show the new tank cat, please.
It is.
Uh,
It's up on my Facebook page. I'm not
um,
sure.
hold on. Give me a second. I can go grab it. So talk about your pricing because you got like a $9. Where is it at? $9, $11, and $40. Tell me what the difference in those are while I go and grab this.
The $9 a month is it's for the first 30 days for our launch of our new build to the Patreon. After, you know how a lot of Patreons do, the first 50 customers can get it at
Mm-hmm.
8 or 9 a month. Well, instead of limiting it to the first X number of people, we just decided if people like us in the first month, we'll give them a discount on it if they want to stay with us at that. The $11 a month is everything after January. If you subscribe after January, then it'll be $11 a month. The further tiers is merchant tiers, so that if you would like to print the models and sell the models as part of your printing service or something like that,
Yeah.
to do so.
All right, I got that I got that image. Give me a second. Just got to grab it. Add a new source. Browse it. It is the new tank that you just did. And there it is.
Oh, he had told me what the name of the actual World War II tank was that he used. There, it was derived from the what is it? The German Weasel armored weapon carrier. I told him that it looked like it reminded me of the Cobra Hiss tank from when I was a kid.
Oh, yeah,
GI.
it does. Yeah, it does. Yeah, the Lemming MK2 remote controlled demolition vehicle. Pelican's first January kit. It does remind me. It does remind me from the Cobra tank
Yep.
because it's got that wedge type look to it.
I'm sure they were inspired by historicals too.
Oh,
Oh yeah,
everybody. Yeah.
everybody. But yeah, this is a proxy for the Forge World Cyclops tank. He's doing that version of it, and then he's doing a uh, oh, what did he say that the second version was actually going to have? But they're both little remote control uh, self-detonating tanks, and I love playing them in 40k. Your opponents. Okay, what does that thing do? It did what?
You infiltrate their lines and get into their guys, and then you just blow up.
Yeah, it's this tiny little bitty. It's about the size of a 50-cent coin, making its way across the table, and it's never shooting at anything. It's never doing anything, and then it just goes, boom, and takes out everything
It
around.
reminds me of the P-tards in Age of Empires. Was it Age of Empires or Empire Earth? One of those old video games we used to play. These guys that you could just send in. You could just send these guys in, and they just kind of like blow themselves up behind enemy lines.
Sappers.
Yeah, sappers. Okay, so it's not just you. You've got a group. You've got a team of 3 people that work these models and give it out, and you do these models. And right now, I show that you have. I couldn't see. Where is it? You have about 89 patrons, and you've got when you get to a certain level, you'll give out this, you'll give out that, you'll give out, all these different things. Oh, let me grab this picture. I wanted to show this one because this one seemed to be really cool. Hold on a second. And once you get to certain levels, you'll have other models out there. This I saw, and it's part of your welcome pack, but wasn't part of the images. Oh, that's not it. I'm trying to do this on the fly is not good. New image. And these guys have whips and chains. They're Prosperine disciplinary officers.
Yeah, Nick is actually doing a Imperial Guard proxy, or I guess you could even use them as Chaos Cultist proxies. But for the Prosperin Guard, for the Thousand Suns homeworld, they appear all over. They appear all over the fluff and the stories and everything, but currently there's no models for them.
Gotcha.
And these would be the commissars for the. It's a multi-part kit. He's got a lot of different parts in that kit.
Well, because one of the things I have noticed, and as me getting back into 40K a bit, was that there is not a lot of models out. They're still having issues with getting models out. And so you want to play, but of course you want to proxy stuff. And this is a quick and easy way because you can, print this model off, put it on the table. You know what it is. Like right now, one of the things in Necrons is you can't get a Nightbringer model. So people are buying models from other people or buying styles that are similar to the Nightbringer for Necron because you can't get them. They don't make him anymore.
I've seen a lot of Grim Reapers on bases.
Yeah, and it's pretty much a Grim Reaper. Like, I know a lot of people are using the Creature Caster model, one of their models, as a model for it. And so there's been a lot of this, and we're not sure why they're not. They're just not bringing out, that model anymore. Whether they, grabbed a hold of a screen, shouldn't have.
Telechrome wants to know, what do you think of the render style?
Me? They look cool to me. I definitely like the hollows. The hollows were really, really neat. That was something that was done really, really interesting. I'm not a big vehicle guy, but tanks are really cool. The bike was really cool. I like I said, I like the hollow guys. Those are my favorite because that's such a unique model. What was the other one? The female holy sister of the chainsaw.
That was
I thought that was a pretty neat one.
Wasn't terribly imaginative.
But it was neat. One other thing I have to say that I really like about your Patreon, and it's something I complain about whenever I go onto a Patreon to see if I want to support them, especially for 3D modeling, is not all your posts are hidden. I've gone to some Patreons and you're like, oh, please support us. And the picture they show is blocked out, so I don't know what their style is. So sometimes I'll go to My Mini Factory, My Mini, and find the models there. And I'm like, I shouldn't have to go to another website to see what you have.
Yeah,
Give me a
it's next
preview.
to me. I mean, you look at their My Mini Factory or something like that, and you're looking at what they've already released. You still don't know what it is that you yourself are buying.
Correct. Because I think there was one, I don't remember who it was, but there was one that I went to and I was like, oh, well, everybody says this is pretty cool. And I went to go look at it and all their posts were, Patreons only. And I'm like, but what if I want to, I want to see what I'm buying before I put into it, before I'm a Patreon. And there are some people that are just so strict on their thing that they won't put out those pictures. And I'm just like, oh, lost my business. I'm not into it. I'm not going to do it. Of course, Kathy always likes all the gory and cutesy ones. She's a Nurgle at heart.
when he says cutesy, what he really means is disgusting. Like your giant demon dog guy is cute. It's super cute.
Yeah.
But other people might not see it that way. But I do.
I did see it. I didn't get a picture of it, but I saw in there where you were doing like Necromunda walls. I saw that on there. That was pretty interesting because whenever I see a Patreon do some stuff, they always do, terrain, and it's like, here is a table for you to have your character sit at. And I'm like, I don't want that type of terrain. I want terrain that's usable for big tabletop gaming, per se, that I can put out there and show, everybody what it is. Like I have a table entirely sculpted just like Tatooine that I have for my Star Wars game. And I'm like, this is all big stuff. But this one Patreon, they were like, we're going to give you terrain stuff, but it's going to be like chairs to put inside of this little bitty hovel. And I'm like, okay, that's cool, if you're doing D&D, but it wasn't something I was needing. I was really wanting, a building. Something I can put on the table. Because like my here's one I should have got put on there for you, Kathy. I thought I had this one on there. No, not that one. This one was done.
The terrain joke on the fantasy stuff is you're going to create a fantasy terrain piece, then that means that you're going to start releasing various Tudor houses, right?
Well, I mean, like my Marvel Crisis Protocol models for that. It needs city terrain. And this guy was like, well, I'm going to do terrain for that, and, that you can print with MDF. And I'm like, okay, cool. And he started doing, scatter terrain. And the scatter terrain was trash cans. Cool. That's good. Then, soda machines. That's good because they're good size. They're, 3 to 4 inches depending and stuff like that. So I'm like, that's what we need. But if you're going to give me like chairs that are this big that sit inside the building, which hardly anybody is ever allowed to go inside of a building, that it's kind of not worth it to me to do that.
Have you ever done any vase mode printing?
I've never done a vase mode, but I know what you're talking about.
I actually released for free on Thingiverse several vase mode kits. furnaces and pipe sets and things like that, because it always annoyed me. Games Workshop's pipe set gave you enough to cover a 1 foot by 1 foot area, and so I made the pipe a vase mode version of the pipes and reactors and things like that. A
What
friend
does
of
that
ours.
mean? I haven't heard that term before.
What vase mode does is it prints everything as if it's trying to print a vase, so that there is a flat bottom to it, there is no top, and none of the angles exceed 70 degrees on it. So you have nothing that is perfectly horizontal. Everything goes straight up and leans up to 70 degrees in one direction or another. And instead of the printer head moving back and forth trying to draw the whole inside and everything, it doesn't draw anything on the inside. You use a larger nozzle, and it just keeps going on a single spiral. So, like the reactor that I made would probably, just in regular printing time, probably take you about 2 or 3 days. And in vase mode, it takes it around 9 hours.
Oh.
Yeah, it pretty much builds all on top of itself without any supports. So you don't have to worry about any supports. And like infill is like 0 to like 10% type thing, depending on.
It can't have any infill in it. It's absolutely.
Yeah, I've seen some of them where they get really wide and then they get in. But I mean, it's just a singular print up. I've never done a vase mode yet because I have no need to do a vase mode, but that's something I was going to do.
But all of us, Nick, Otto, and myself, all kind of started on a Discord group that a bunch of us really shared and fed off of each other on learning how to 3D print and so forth. And there was one gentleman on there that kind of, for all intents and purposes, invented the vase mode terrain. He nicknamed it VMT, and he released some. He's actually part of another Patreon and released some vase mode terrain on it. And another member of that same Discord group has started up a Kickstarter under the name Sinister Cities, and it's all vase mode stuff. But reason I brought it up is because at some point in the future, tau stuff being so smooth and angular, and my tau take is really kind of a mix of Halo and a little Star Wars, maybe some StarCraft thrown in there. But all of that smooth curved design and everything, I hope to release some vase mode stuff, maybe into future welcome kits.
Guys, go and check them out. I did post the link earlier. Let me give another link for y'all. You want to get some models? Check them out. Go check out their models, what they got. I couldn't show everything. There's a ton of other things that are on there that you can see.
Do you have a link to their Facebook page too? You have a Facebook page, I'm assuming?
Yes, we do.
Yeah. Do you have an Instagram too?
I believe that Nick just set up an Instagram account the other day, but they can find me on Instagram too, and I'm constantly sharing updates.
Because you're welcome to post links in
Got them all. Boom.
in the chat for people.
Got it. So, guys, go check them out. See what what you have, what you got to be in there. And this is where the podcast where we go. We hit our media section. We're going to talk about all different types of media, whether it be a book, TV, movies, everything. So, Landon, this is your first time here. We have a different rating system. We have 2 rating systems. One rating system is it on a scale of Cats to Casablanca, Cats being the worst, Casablanca being the best movie ever made. And our other rating is how many space herpes does it have? The fewer the space herpes, the better. We go up to 5. So I'm going to get off, and I'm going to talk about a game I've been playing. I originally played this game back was on PS4, and I picked it up on PS5. And so where'd it go? Boom. I am now playing Demon Souls, which, as anybody knows, Demon Souls are one of those games where you constantly want to throw the remote, because when you die, you lose your progress pretty much. Not really. You don't lose your items. You lose the souls that you got, and you have to start all over. Um, the remastered version is gorgeous. Um, I do have a little issues with the color palettes they've used because there's a lot of grays and browns, but it is a dungeon and it is a thing, and so the lighting system is really good, and any color is on there stands out really well. As you can say, Demon Souls is a game where you play your character, and that character can do various things: cast magic, cast clerical spells, you know, fight hand to hand, so on and so forth. This go around, I decided to play a knight. Usually, I play a very dexterous, so I can tumble everywhere I want. Um, where I use a sword and a shield, or one-handed and shield. And I can't tumble for shit in this game because I'm overweighted all the time because I'm wearing, heavy armor, big weapons. Um, there's only a couple of times where I've cussed at the screen. I was like, oh, fuck. And you're like, shit. And I have to start over because I lost like 5,000. Because when I started out, I lost like 5,000 souls, type thing. Um, Getting back to it and playing it, I've played all the other type of games that are in there, that are like this, but I'm really enjoying it. I'm hoping I can get some people to come in and kind of join with me so I can do the multiplayer aspects, and get those things on there. But I'm just kind of waiting. Right now, um, my initial rating system, I'm going to give it like 1.5 to 2 space herpes, for the simple fact that there's some issues I have with the game, attacking, because when you have to target onto people to lock onto them to hit them. But one of my things that I don't like, is when I'm attacking something and I get knocked off the platform because I'm going towards them, and I'm like, luckily I haven't died from falling yet, because it's not been there. But I mean, overall, I'm enjoying it. It's a lot of fun, good challenge. Graphics are insane. Hoping I can get, hopefully, I can get some people on there to play so we can do some buddying up, because you can buddy up in the game. So I know someone says they were like level 50 in the game recently, so I'm hoping I can do some help with that. So there's that. So now you see how it is. Landon, give us something that you've watched, done, whatever, and give us a rating system.
um, well, I've been watching the anime By the Grace of the Gods. It's a standard anime trope of guy dies, comes back, is brought back to life in a almost fantasy video game environment with more power than any other person could ever have. But he's a kid.
What was the name of it again?
By the Grace of the Gods.
Okay. I wanted to look at it. Go for it. Keep going.
But it's got real clean animation to it and everything. His thing is that he actually was worked to death. He was a middle-aged man in Japan and worked so hard that he finally killed over dead from an office job. It's a little iffy there in that part. But he comes back in this fantasy, almost game-like world with magical abilities in every class, weapon abilities in every class, but he's like 11 years old. And it's just kind of a feel-good little story, but it's actually got some fun parts to it and everything, and the characters are developing to it really well. But like I said, it's a very redone trope that they've done over and over again. And he trains slimes. the slimes from every fantasy story.
Hmm.
He and breeds slimes of different kinds and starts his own business and tries to make a better life for himself. So it's a really good story. Like I said, you said how many space herpes they get.
Yeah.
I would say probably edging just slightly below 3 because it has rehashed so many things, but I would give it probably a uh, much closer to Casablanca than it is to Cats, because it just makes you smile and laugh as you watch the show, which is kind of a new thing in a lot of animes anymore.
So one of the things that I have, how bad is the fan service in this? That's my thing. I hate fan service, panty shots, all that type of stuff. That always gets me, and I can't stand it.
Actually, that's the great thing. It has almost no fan service. The closest thing that it has to fan service is the uh, it has cat girls, which of course have to be silly and bouncy, but no upskirt shots or anything like that from them.
Kathy, what is yours?
My one my one movie. I don't know if I even watched much TV this week. I'm trying to think if I watched anything that wasn't just people streaming miniature painting on Twitch. But today I did watch the next James Bond movie in my list of Bond movies, and it was For Your Eyes Only. And I love the song, and the song was a hit on the radio years ago. This movie was made in 1981. It's really dated. At one point, James Bond is wearing like a like leisure pants and a golf shirt. I swear he just looked like somebody's grandpa. He didn't look like James Bond. He looked like somebody's grandpa. And th- I feel like this might be my least favorite of the Bond films. And I wish John was here to talk about Bond films with me. But anyways, yeah, it was the very beginning starts out with this ludicrous helicopter
Hmm.
scene. Meenab John is here, but you're not here to discuss this with me. So, you yes, I'm talking about best John, and you're like second best John. Sorry, John. Oh, you page him. We need the Bond talk. Anyways, so it starts out with this ludicrous helicopter scene where he's in the helicopter, and Blofeld, his arch nemesis over the course of several Sean Connery Bond films, shows up. Turns out he wasn't ever dead after all, as we all knew. But you can see that in this one. This is almost where you get the Dr. Evil from Austin Powers. He's wearing the gray suit. He's bald. He's got his cat, and he's controlling the helicopter with remote control, right? And the way the helicopter is moving and the way that James Bond is moving on the helicopter is like trying to cling to the outside of this helicopter while it's doing all these crazy movements, and you're just like, how even does this work? Even I was asking that, and usually I can suspend my disbelief by a lot. I'm talking about For Your Eyes Only, John.
So,
And
so you're
and
saying physics left the building on this one?
physics, yeah, yeah. There, yeah. So, and at one point, the helicopter is diving, and it's making this diving sound like a dive bomber, like a jet. Like, like this would never happen. if even Kathy is saying that, then you know it has reached peak shark jumping. So I mean, yeah, there were some amusing points to it. The shootout in the sort of paper factory smuggler's den was fun. Um, the fact that Topol was the bad guy who was actually a good guy, turned out to be a good guy, was actually he was at the best part of the film. He he was funny. But yeah. Roger Moore Bond got a bit crazy, says John O. Spencer. Yes, agreed. Uh, so yeah, this was probably my least favorite of them. And then there was like the slutty figure skater teenager who was throwing herself at him, but of course, since he was old enough to be her grandfather, he was like, no, no, no. And I'm like, is this even James Bond? I mean, the guy's a dog.
Yeah.
Heck with space herpes, it's James Bond. There's plenty of regular herpes.
So, yeah, this one gets like 3. Because I'd still watch it again. Because what can I say? But yeah, not my favorite. I think it's 3 space herpes.
I watched.
Manion says I'm not sure I've watched these. What, like Roger Moore, James Bond? Yeah.
I recently watched, and it came on Netflix, of course, because it was simple and easy. We Can Be Heroes. We Can Be Heroes is a show definitely for kids, by kids. It's about, and the thing is this is Shark Boy Lava Girl, the sequel. This is Shark Boy Lava Girl children, and it's superhero children. It's the superheroes' children that are in this. And this show, if you're a kid, you're going to love this because it's all fun and games. But it is definitely cheesy, campy, roll your eyes if you're an adult, but definitely great for kids, up to like 3rd grade type thing. Because it's the comedy is, horrible, bad comedy. Everything is, you can see it from a mile away type thing. So if I was a kid and I was like young, I would think this movie was pretty fun. As an adult, this movie sucked. Sounds for Banion, if that's his intelligence, or maturity. So I mean, that's the thing is it's got a lot of kid campiness to it. You know where the plot is, you know what's going to happen, so on and so forth. But I mean, overall, it's not bad. I would never watch it again, unless I had to put it on for my kids, to watch at school. So as an adult, this is like a 3.5, 4 space herpes. As a kid, watching it through a kid's eyes, kids would probably love it, thinking it'd be like a 1 or a 2 space herpes. So it's like the Spy Kids stuff. It is very much. But it is Lava Girl and Shark Boy. The sequel, pretty much. So go with it at that. Landon, you got anything else?
Just watched Mulan, the live-action movie. Have you
I
seen that?
I reviewed that last week. Go ahead and give us your idea.
Oh, that's a gorgeous movie. I think they did a wonderful job making it. I couldn't have been happier with the movie. I would put that at like 1 space herpy, if that.
Yeah, I put it up there that if you didn't like the cartoon has its own genre, but if you were to watch not the cartoon first and watch the movie, the live action, it would have been a whole lot better, in my opinion. Type thing. But growing up with the Mulan cartoon, it kind of tainted the live action.
Yeah, I had to stop myself from. Well, is the Phoenix going to talk like Eddie Murphy? Who's going to talk like Eddie Murphy?
Correct. So there wasn't anything that was I didn't like it. It was okay, but it wasn't great in my opinion.
I
Oh,
almost feel like I need to see it, having never seen Disney the cartoon version. Then I could be the one who could about speak about it as somebody who's never seen the cartoon version, who has nothing to compare this to.
I really like the Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and uh, all of those. I like the Chinese fairy tales, and I think those movies are a lot of fun to watch. So that's probably the reason why it struck a chord with me so much.
Yeah.
A lot of people
I would watch the live action first and then watch the cartoon, Kathy. Because Mushu is the shit.
don't.
Mushu is a shit. So, Kathy, what's your second one for the night?
I have nothing else. That was
Nothing
it.
else? That was it?
I've watched nothing. I was gonna watch this Dutch movie, but I got busy yesterday doing other stuff, and I ended up never watching anything yesterday. So I gotta wait with this Dutch movie for maybe one of the evenings this week.
Well, I also tried to watch more of The Good Place, Kathy. I tried my hardest to
You
watch
said
it.
try, so you can just stop talking now. I have no interest in what you're gonna say next.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it's the mood I'm in or what. I just can't get into it. Um, I'm not dissing it. I just can't get into it. I think it's just because it's too episodic, or you know where it's going and stuff. But I
You
don't know. If,
don't know where it's going.
yeah, and I'm just like, I'm just not sure. So I'm gonna wait.
You think you know where it's going.
It's on my list still, but I haven't got rid of it. So when I've got some free time, I'm probably gonna watch it a bit more.
I've looked at it too, and it just you press play, and then you're like, "Is there anything? I need to mop the house."
Wow, see, I loved it. I
Yeah.
loved it. My husband loved it. A bunch of my friends loved it. Eh,
The thing is, I've got other things to watch, so I'm gonna watch those first. It's still on my list.
The
Um,
Good Place, Banyan. He's dishonoring The Good Place, which I love.
You have to be in a good place to watch it.
I'm always in a good place.
I also watched another episode of Sherlock, the BBC version, because I've never watched that originally, and so I'm making my way through that. I'm really enjoying Sherlock. It's still good. Of course, each episode's like an hour and a half long, so I mean, you're watching a movie technically.
Yep.
I love the atmosphere. I love the characters. No, I never watched it. I think I'm on like the ending of season 2 or whatever it is. So I'm working my way through it. But I mean, an hour and a half long episode, I've got to plan time for that. So, but I like it. Acting's good. Everything's solid. Comedy's solid. Nothing wrong with this show at all. Um, it's like I said, it's one of those shows where John says it's not canceled. It's just on hiatus because they haven't said if they're going to do any more yet. But they haven't in a while. So I mean, technically to me, it's gone. But I'm going to finish watching all of them because they've been nice and fun. Um, they've been good quality TV type thing. So I'm working my way through that. I'm still working my way through SG1. I don't know what season I'm on, but it's kind of getting on my nerves because everything's becoming very episodic. This episode, oh, this random wild things happen. This episode, random wild thing. this episode, Random Wild Things. And now it's just kind of like, we're throwing stuff at the wall and hoping it sticks. Because of the SG1 that I remember, had a continuing story plot, so on and so forth. And right now, this is the part where it's got a lot of, like I said, just random shit. And it's just like, this is not intriguing me. I don't care. There's not a good, it's very too episodic for me right now. But I don't remember what season I'm on right now. So I'm going to have to wait and see.
Yeah, it seemed like to me that the Stargate, towards the end of the seasons, they started getting into more of a constantly carrying on storyline as they were hunting the Egyptian space gods, whatever they were called.
Yeah.
And then their viewership took off so much that they brought in that Stargate Atlantis.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like Deep Space Nine for Stargate.
Yep.
And it just seemed like the writers lost their way right there at the end. And
the spin-offs of it, Atlantis was okay. It wasn't great, it was just okay. But then the what was the Stargate Universe? I liked that a whole lot more, but that only lasted like one season or so, or 2 seasons. And I was kind of disappointed in that, but that's just kind of how it is. But definitely this season right now, I'll have to go back and look, see what season I'm on, was definitely not, it hasn't been that great. Still going to do it. It's great, good background noise. It's good time to watch. John definitely is not a Stargate SG-1 fan. So, but definitely, it's definitely not on my list of things to watch.
my guilty pleasure right now is Victoria.
What's Victoria?
Oh, that's the PBS show, right?
Yes.
Or the Masterpiece Theater.
Yep.
Yeah.
PBS series.
I haven't had a chance to watch that yet. It looks interesting though.
I wish they would. I think they may have stopped making them, because was it 3rd season now, and there hasn't been any pipe of them saying that they're making any more. But this whole storyline is so beautiful. Like I said, guilty pleasure. Totally nerding out on Queen Victoria.
Yeah, I tried to watch, was it The Queen on Netflix or whatever, and I just couldn't get into that. I was like, okay. So, Landon, you got anything else?
No, just thank you very much for having me today. I'm glad I could fill up the missing spot on your screen.
Guys, we're going to cut out here a little bit early, on about 5 minutes. We're going to send you to someone new that we made sure we did. This gentleman is doing some painting. It is Minneapolis.
Oh, Minneapolis. Mm-hmm.
We're going to send you to Minneapolis. I'm not sure if it's him and her doing it this time, but I know it is a him right now doing some painting. But before we go, guys, please take care of yourself. Watch after each other. If you see something, report it. If something is going on, make sure that you take care of it. We want to make sure everybody's taken care of. Wear your mask. Wash your hands. Be safe out there. For More Than Dice, I'm Gonzo.
I'm Kathy.
I'm Landon.
Good night.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, don't worry, we got music playing. You can hear it all over. They can hear everything you say right now.
I totally was going to be like, I'm John.
No, I'm John.
John is in the chat room. Just, he does. I'm in the chat room. So, there you go.
And Ray.